When you seem to be going from crisis to crisis, that is not a coincidence. I am Pauline and I am so happy you are here because especially when you have a fearful avoidant attachment style, it makes so much sense that you actually do go from crisis to crisis. And in this video, we are going to dive into why that is. And right off the bat, I want you to know that you don't have to be scared of not being healed and then being in a crisis and a crisis again, just because this is a pattern of the fearful avoidant attachment style. It doesn't mean you have to heal this whole attachment style before you get out of this pattern. If you are aware, and you are now, and you will be even more at the end of this video, because especially I think the fourth or the fifth reason I'm going to mention, if you are aware of that one, it will make such a dramatic difference and you can choose differently. You have that power. You are not a victim to this dynamic. You being aware is step one, and you're doing that. So why in heaven's name do you go from crisis to crisis? Because it's not fun, right? It's tiring, it's exhausting, you don't want it. Everything in you screams, I just want safety, I want security, I want stability. And yet there is this part of you, the fear brain, that wants something else also. Maybe you're aware of that, maybe this is all like completely new. The first time I realized this, the first time I started seeing those patterns, I was like, dang it, I am doing this myself. I just started noticing that my life, our life, seemed to be going from crisis to crisis. Whereas if I compared it to my friends, they had all these like really calm lives. And when I was in a crash state, and if I would have realized it then, I probably would have thought, well, that's boring also. But I realized this at a stage where I knew that boring was actually stability, safety, and security, and I knew how rich that could feel. So I was out of the relationship OCD. I was out of the crash state of the fearful avoidant in my relationship. And so the fear and these dynamics kind of came back in different areas of my life, health, money, but also just random things that happened that were really how do you say that, like big or tragic. And it took me a while to see that this actually was a pattern. Some things we really couldn't help, but other things, looking back on it, I think a part of me wanting this, craving this, made me make choices that would lead to that, could lead to that. So let's dive into why. Why do you do this? One very clear reason is because your nervous system is used to it. When you have the fearful avoidant attachment style, you have probably grown up in a household that had some sort of chaos, some sort of ups and downs and crises in several ways. I mean, they could be very severe, like an alcoholic parent, but it could also just be a parent that was very, very dysregulated. Maybe your parents had these crises too. And so your nervous system is almost trained or is used to you being in a crisis. And that can also be addictive. So the releasing of those hormones, the adrenaline, the cortisol, that can actually be addictive to your system. So there's so much more talk now about nervous system regulation, which is amazing. But what I wish more people would know and understand is that your body may be addicted to certain hormones because that is what your body experienced when you were younger. And when we're young, all kids love their parents so much. And that is where our basis for our foundation for safety is created. And so things that are unsafe can actually feel really safe. But also the hormones that we tend to have a lot when we're younger and the associations that are formed with it, that is what you can crave when you are older. I can go into in another video, I can go deeper into that. If you want that, let me know. Write it down in the comments and write down hormones and the associations around it. And I will do that. So That is one. Your nervous system is just used to it. The second one is that being in a crisis could actually protect you from danger. And your fear brain is just trained, programmed to do everything it can to not encounter danger in the form of anger or criticism or judgment. Because those are the things that most fearful avoidants grow up with anger, judgment, and criticism. And so being in a crisis, you are absolutely right in expecting empathy from others. And that can lead to your fear brain thinking, oh, being in a crisis, that will actually help me get the empathy that I crave. That will help me get the support that I crave. And when you haven't healed yet, you may have the belief that you don't deserve empathy or don't deserve support when you are not in a crisis. Like, it's not something that you as a person deserve. It is something you get because you're struggling. And a lot of fearful avoidants tend to be in this very specific place where they are struggling in some way. That could be health-wise, that could be relationship-wise, that could be money-wise, that could be career-wise, and they are handling it in a very strong way, not powerful way, but strong way. And that is like almost a little overlap of being strong but not powerful, and being weak but not, how do you say that? I have the Dutch word in my head, aansteller, not being somebody who fakes needing things. I don't know what it's called in English now. Because that is not allowed by a fearful avoidant parent, but being too powerful is also scary for a fearful avoidant parent. So a lot of fearful avoidants find themselves in this place where they have crises, they are struggling, but they handle it in a very strong way. Like, look at how I'm handling it. And that is also just such an exhausting place to be in. I so wish for you just peace and joy and having empathy and support for that. But when you've grown up with not really being allowed to be powerful because that was threatening to your parent who was afraid of losing control, but you were also not allowed to really be weak and vulnerable, this is the only place that kind of feels safe. And when you feel stronger, crises are actually the place where you get that support and you get that empathy. So it is a protection, and it is also a way to get what you didn't get when you were younger. And also, crises are a perfect way to be a victim. And I know there are so many negative associations with the word victim, with victimhood, but it is such a logical and actually very bright or smart protection mechanism from your fear brain. When you are a victim, you know that you deserve love, you deserve empathy, and somebody else not giving that to you is not right. And so when you don't feel powerful, when you don't feel like you can handle things, you can handle life, it is logical, and pretty much the only way or the only road that you have is towards victimhood. And that is not a bad thing. I don't ever want you to feel bad about it. I just want you to know that you are allowed to be powerful, and it feels so good. It feels so much better than what victimhood could ever bring you. And I just wish that for you, not because victimhood is a bad thing, or you just have to, pull yourself up by the bootstraps or whatever that saying is, and just do it. I want you to love yourself so much that you allow yourself to be powerful. All right, this is also another video. Gosh, this is so many different topics. If you want to learn more about victimhood and how that may be serving you and how to get out of that, let me know in the comments below, and I will make a video about that too. Then another reason is that your parent, your fearful avoidant parent, probably also felt the most comfortable in crises. And this was twofold. One side of that was that their nervous system was used to it too. And so being in that mode of something is happening and I have to fix that, and all those hormones, all those stress, feelings of stress that accompany that can be actually quite familiar for your fearful avoidant parent. And then of course when you're a child, you're in that, you know, emotional space, so that's what you feel too. And the other side of that is that when the crisis has to do with you as a child, your fearful avoidant parent might feel like they can save you, they can fix you, they can be there for you, you need them. And that's what a lot of fearful avoidant parents want to feel. They want to feel needed, they want to feel like a hero in a way. Again, nothing wrong with that. We are not here to judge, we are not here to blame. This is just the patterns. This is just how those dynamics play out. And knowing that will help you get out of them. So it might be that your parent felt really good, felt really loving, and maybe loved when they could be there for you, maybe even now as an adult, when you are in crisis. And when you are actually just really, you know, living your best life and being powerful, that might be threatening to them, because then they're like, well, my child doesn't need me now, so what am I to them? And that is obviously something for them to figure out. But that might be going on with your fearful avoidant parent. And so that child in you creates crisis after crisis just to get, you know, bring that parent back into a power position and let them help you. So I was going to say something else about the other way. Oh yeah, and you might also create crises because during crises your parent was so focused on fixing what was wrong that there was less threat of them getting angry out of nowhere. There was less threat of them, you know, being very unpredictable. They were very focused in that moment. And so it might have felt that in crises you felt the closest to them. You felt like you were fixing something together, or you felt the most unified as a family. You know, that can happen. If something big, unpredictable happens out of nowhere, it can really unify people. And sometimes in a fearful avoidant household, that might unify the family. And so a crisis has that association of that feeling of being unified and being together and being close to your parents. Again, nothing wrong with that. Just being aware of it can help you change those dynamics. And then also, when something comes up that is urgent, that is potentially destructive, that is a crisis, that is an immersive experience, which means that all your senses are focused on that one thing. And that feels good. We live in a society where we're supposed to be doing all kinds of different things at the same time. Like, we're supposed to be a very good friend, be a very good husband or wife, be a very good parent, be very good at our jobs. And we're supposed to have an overview of all these things and do all these things at the same time well. And that is, for a lot of people, not a natural way of living. They are much more inclined to an immersive experience. This also has to do specifically with the fearful avoidant attachment style, because immersive experiences cause a lot of intense emotions, and that's what a lot of fearful avoidants crave, because that's what they had when they were younger. But also, what I realized looking back is that crises gave me an excuse to not be that attentive friend, to not be the best wife or girlfriend. And I knew that if I would tell the story of what had happened, people would be like understanding of the fact that I didn't send them a message for a couple of months. I was just so afraid of falling short, of doing things wrong, of not doing enough, that going from crisis to crisis was a way for me to have an excuse when somebody would get upset with me or disappointed in me. for not, being in constant contact with them. And healing that has already helped so much in the going from crisis to crisis, just seeing that nobody has a right to my time or my energy. I choose where I spend that on. And I want friendships, and now have friendships where my friends understand that. They would never expect me to be in constant contact with them and be disappointed if I didn't, send them a message whenever they expected it. It's just very unconditional and very free. And I don't have the need for excuses anymore, so I don't have the need for big crises anymore. And then the last one is that feeling safe, and you feel safe when there's no crises happening and you're like, it's stable, it's calm, everything is going well. It can feel unsafe. When your fear brain is still very much active, your fear brain will always be looking for, okay, it seems to be going well right now, but where is the threat? Where is it going to come from? Is it from the left, from the right, from the center? I don't know. And then it can be more safe for your fear brain if something really is happening, when shit has already hit the fan and you are problem solving, crisis solving, because then your fear brain is thinking, you see, something was wrong, but we are fixing it. And when we fixed it, then we'll be fine. When you find yourself saying that again and again, when we get through this, then it'll be peaceful. When you find yourself saying that again and again, look at the patterns. Is this a pattern that you are noticing in yourself, that you may subconsciously have been creating? So I now see that I created these things. Like when things were going well in my relationship, I would do something, I would say something that would shake things up, and that would create a crisis. And then, my boyfriend, then boyfriend, now husband, had to come over and calm me down. And it was just one thing after another. And when it went to my health, I had crisis after crisis. And then it was just, I saw the pattern so clearly at some point that I thought, wow, can't believe I missed it so long. But allowing yourself to feel safe can actually take a bit of time. It can take a bit of healing, because feeling safe can also feel boring for a fearful avoidant. So even though there might be 98% of you that just does not want this crisis to crisis, there might be the 2% that wants it, and that things, just a stable, calm life is very boring. And it's not. And also, it is okay to want excitement. I don't want you to think that, oh, Pauline is just leading me to this very uneventful life. If that's what you want, that's perfectly fine. But you can find excitement in so many different ways. All the things that you are trying to get from living crisis to crisis, creating these subconsciously, these experiences, you can get in positive experiences too. So those stress hormones that you have, they can also be released when you're doing really exciting things that you're scared of, but that will build upon your life. Like speaking in front of people, that is a very scary thing to do. If your body is craving those hormones, if your body is craving an immersive experience, if your body is craving more intense feelings, you can use that in the other way around. And so that it can actually build your life, that you can actually create more and more. And then maybe the feelings of the fear of failure come up, and you heal that and you keep going. I just want you to know that when you see this pattern of going from crisis to crisis, that is the first step. And showing your fear brain that it is more safe to not create these crises, and that you can get what you are getting out of crises in another way, that will cause your subconscious to change. And that will cause you to see opportunities to have all these feelings that you want in a positive way, in a different way, in a way that actually enhances or builds your life. So you don't have to heal the whole fearful avoidant attachment style, it is for a lot of things. It is just figuring out what your fear brain wants and then giving that in a different way, seeing where you want to go, and then seeing what your fear brain is scared of along the way. And you can do that. You have everything in you. You have the wisdom of your body to do that, to figure that out. It might take time. It might take time. And because I know you may not have time, that's why I created Healed and Happy, the online program, where I take you through all of these routes, all of these reasons why things are happening, like crises, and release them. You don't have to be fully healed to let go of certain things that are particularly destructive to your life. You don't have to be fully healed. You don't have to be perfect to start building, to start allowing yourself a beautiful life. You get to understand yourself so much better, and understand how that fear brain of yours is working, trying to protect you, and allowing it to let you have all the beautiful things and build on your life. That's what we do in Healed and Happy. If you're interested in that, you can find more in the description below. There's a link. I love that program. It's just, it can help you get such a step further from where you are now, just by looking at it differently and knowing what to release. And I wish for you what you want for yourself, and I only want to help you get there faster, because I know this is exhausting. I know this is tiring. I know you might not have the energy to figure this all out, even though you can. You absolutely can. You have it in you. I just want to make it easier. So if I am allowed to help you, let me help you, and click on the link in the description below. I am very curious if this was new for you, if this was interesting, if this was valuable. Let me know in the comments below, because I always want to give you everything you need to heal the fearful avoidant attachment style. I am so happy you are here, and I will see you in the next one. Healed and Happy is a tailor-made online program where me and my team personally guide you through healing the roots of the fearful avoidant attachment style.